Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talked to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, He Himself, He said, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ. Even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the first thing that He told him, the first thing that you're supposed to acquire is what? Is knowledge, to know who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking you for. So in Islam, there is nothing called ignorance. It is ilm. And that's why it's not a surprise, it's not a coincidence that the first ayah to be revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it's an invitation for knowledge. Iqra. First one. And you know, there's a very interesting point over here about that first revelation. SubhanAllah, just the circumstances. Some of these scholars, they said, how come the first ayah to be revealed to the Prophet ﷺ is Iqra, read, mean gain knowledge. Although, in a society like that, probably the first ayah is supposed to tell the people, don't worship idols, because they were idol worshipping. And that is more important than anything else according to our understanding. They were worshipping stones and idols. Or they used to bury their daughters alive. So the ayah should tell them, stop this kind of fahisha. Or there was zina. There was a lot of very big things. But subhanAllah, the Quran didn't talk about anything like that as the first ayah, the first few ayahs. But the first thing is iqra, read. You get to know before you act. And probably in any field, probably someone want to study medicine, want to become a doctor. Can he start practicing and then he start learning? So what are you going to kill people? Or even a mechanic. He needs to have a knowledge about what he's doing. In Islam and in ibadat is the same concept. How are you going to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you don't even know how to worship Him, or you don't worship Him correctly? And all of us, we know a hadith called Hadith al-Musi'i Salat. The hadith of the person who did not perform his salat properly. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he saw a man offering his prayer, and once he finished, he called him and he said to him, Salli, فَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تُصَلِّ. Go and pray, you didn't pray. Well, the man, he just finished praying. But of course, the adab, he's not going to tell the Prophet, oh, I just prayed. So he went and he prayed again. And after he finished, Rasulullah was looking at him, and then he called him again, and he said to him the same time, second time, Salli, فَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تُصَلِّ. He repeated the same sentence, go and pray, you didn't pray. And look at the sentence, you didn't pray. Practically, he prayed. But shar'i ways, he said, you didn't pray, meaning your prayer is not the proper way. So he went and he offered the third time, and again, Rasulullah called him and he told him the same. So that man, he told Rasulullah, but Rasulullah, this is all what I know, allimni, teach me. Then Rasulullah told him, when you stand, this is what you do, when you go for ruku', when you go for sujood. This is a very famous, major hadith that everyone's supposed to know. And we learn it always whenever we start studying the fiqh of any of the ibadahs. Now, saying that, so now we said that knowledge is required, it's a must on every single Muslim to know about his ibadah. And there's something called مَا لَا يُعْذَرُ الْمَرْءُ بِجَهْلٍ. Udhr means excuse. So there are certain things that you don't have excuse not to know it. Because a lot of people start talking, say, brother, no, I don't know that. That's probably for the alim, for the scholar. No, they are basic things that none of us is excused not to know it. And that's ibadat. You cannot say, I don't know how to make tahara. You cannot say that. Or I didn't learn, I don't know. I'm just doing it for the last 20, 30 years, it's okay. No, it's not okay. But we said, you worship Allah with ilm. Or you don't know how to make wudu for salat. I said, but I have a good niyyah, brother. So it doesn't work in that way. Because I'm sure all of us, we know how to count the money. The bills, right? We know the difference between 1 and 5 and even the coins. And subhanAllah, even blind people, they touch it and they know the dollar from $20. I don't know how they know that. Anyway, it's a question of knowledge. Moving to something else. Now, the question that will come after, which is again, many brothers, and just recently somebody sent me a text message and saying the same question. He said, It's very interesting. And probably you heard that also before. Somebody said, why people say I am a Sunni? Why some people say I am a Shafi'i, I am a Hanbali, I am a Maliki, I am we all Muslims. That's true. We are all Muslims. But you know what? Tell me now, if any of you wants to learn the deen, how he's going to learn it? Are you going to learn it directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No. Rasulullah is not here with us. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Oh, but we have all his ahadith. Beautiful. So those ahadith, you're going to get them from who? From the Sahaba? No, the Sahaba radiallahu anhu already passed away. So what happened? From the Tabi'i, they already passed away. Tabi'i. So what do we have in our hands? We have the books that was written by the ulama, by the fuqaha, by the scholars. And those books are the ones that we're using to what? To read the ahadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fine? So definitely I am not going to hear Rasulullah saying, or the Sahaba, or Tabi'in, or Tabi'in, or even most of the major fuqaha, but all what I have the books that was written, and from these books I get to would read. Do I have the tools to read those books or not again? Is it everyone has the access to read and understand? I would say again, the majority of us, we're going to read it in English, or in Urdu, or in a different language, right? Which is a translation from someone to you also. Meaning, you are reading the translation of someone, the understanding of someone. There is no direct source. So even the translation is already an obstacle between you and that knowledge. But you are, when you do it, I trust that translation. Say it's the best translation, fine. If you do not trust it. Going back again to the same question. A Sunni, what I mean by a Sunni? Because somebody told me, and that's a very interesting question. Rasulullah never said that he is a Sunni. So why I have to be a Sunni? And Rasulullah never said this and that. So the question looks like, oh, he really have a point. But actually he didn't have a point at all. And let's put it this way again. This is an introduction, which is just to get to understand what we're going to learn in those sessions, inshallah, in the proper way. Although this topic is not my favorite topic because it's very critical topic. Why? Because of the differences of the madahib. And because you are used to a certain way. You learn it from your father, or from your teacher, or from your scholar, from the person that... Anyway, but I will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the tawfiq. So, something very interesting now. All of you said in the salat, there are arkan of salat. Right? And you say, oh, if you miss one of the arkan, your salat is invalid. You know this concept of arkan of salat? Rasulullah never said there's something called rukn. And the Sahaba didn't use this term, rukn. Or you heard, for example, sunnah, or subhanallah, or wajib. Do you think the Sahaba used to say to each other, this is a wajib, and this is a sunnah, this is a fard? No, at all. There's no such concept. What they did, they saw Rasulullah praying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and they offered to pray the same way that he did. So the ulama that came after, they are the ones who studied in a way that you cannot even imagine. To put those things for us to understand what is a wajib, what is a fard, what is a rukn, what is a shart, a condition, what is a makruh, what is haram, what is a halal. All those things, who did it? When you look at the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ardahum, they learned things not the way we're learning. They were pure Arabs, so when Rasulullah says something, they understand it 100%, they don't need a translation. And the Tabi'in, and after that, so the generation that came after, which is they were not too far from the Prophet ﷺ, needed help, needed someone to explain to them. And that's how this creation of ilm, of fiqh came. And then we start having the word of fuqaha and ulama. You know, did you ever hear, for example, someone call a sahabi that he was a alim? No. Or a faqih? No. No. Or a mufti? No. That does not to put those... No. You know why? Because the title of a sahabi is higher than a title of a alim, or a title of faqih, or a title of imam, or any title. If you call that Sahabi that name, he's not going to like it. Because he say, you are taking this title from me, Sahabi. That means I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I believed in him. But the Sahaba, they were, with our word, they were ulama, or the greatest ulama of the deen. Moving back again, we're just talking too many things at the same time, just to try to bring everything together to understand what we're going to do in those sessions. So, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came with the wahi. And the wahi, the revelation, is two parts. The kitab and the sunnah. The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah. What I mean the sunnah, it means, again, these are just the word that we're going to be used after, right? Sunnah taqreeriyah, right? Sunnah amaliyah, right? So the sunnah, which is Rasulullah, something that the Prophet did, that's called sunnah amaliyah. Something Rasulullah did, even if he didn't say it, but we saw him doing that, so we say, oh, Rasulullah did that, that's a sunnah. Or sunnah qawliyah. Rasulullah said something. Probably you didn't see him doing that, but you heard him saying that. So that's we say, that's another sunnah, qawliyah. What else? Or sunnah taqreeriyah. Sunnah taqreeriyah. Rasulullah saw someone doing something and he was okay with it. He didn't tell him, why do you do it, or you should not do it. You may say, oh, he saw him and he let him go. No, there's nothing to let him go. It is a must for Rasulullah, if that person did something wrong, to tell him that's something wrong. Just like he just said, the person who offered the prayer, and he told him 3 times, go and pray, and pray, go and pray, and pray. So we understand. Now when I say the word sunnah in this word, it doesn't mean the sunnah concept that it comes after fard. No, it doesn't mean that. The sunnah over here, it means any action of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He did it, or he said it, or he saw someone doing it, and was okay with it. Now this is what we call sunnah. It has what we call fard, it has what we call wajib, it has what we call mustahab, it has what we call mandub, it has what we call makruh. All that is together. But as a word, we use the word sunnah. So you have to understand the difference between sunnah, the way how we use it, and the way when I say the book and the sunnah. The Quran and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sunnah of the Prophet here, it is any of the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Any of the practice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a sunnah. It doesn't mean that it's less than the fard. No, what he was doing is also fard. Example. The Quran does not tell us how to pray. Yes? So we saw Rasulullah praying, so his action is what? For us is a sunnah. But the way he prayed is a fard on us. Can you pray somewhere differently than what the Prophet used to pray? And say it's okay? No, it's not okay. Rasulullah said to us, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray the way you saw me praying. Meaning, that's the only way that Allah will accept your prayer. The way how Rasulullah prayed. Of course, we didn't see Rasulullah praying. Right? But someone else saw it, and that person described it to us. And then it was recorded in books, the books of the Sunnah, right? And you name them, and we're going to see that also inshallah. So, the whole revelation is the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran and the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Good. Now, that exactly how we're going to learn, and from where we're going to learn our ibadat. Nothing else. Now, who actually transmitted that to us? The Sahaba. They saw the Prophet ﷺ doing so, and sometimes they ask him questions, or sometimes somebody else came and asked him a question and they heard that. Right? And we have that in the books. Now you're going to find also Sahaba radiallahu anhum ardahum, sometimes they will do something different than the other one. We have, for example, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, right? He lived in Iraq. Fine. And we have another Sahabi, for example, right? Let's say Abdullah ibn Umar, but he lived in Medina. Are we going to say this Sahabi is better than the other one? Or this Sahabi is smarter than the other one? Or this Sahabi, he followed better the Prophet than the other one? No, we don't say that. Are we going to say, I trust this one? No. There's another term that we're going to use today. It's called the adala. Adala in Arabic language means justice. وعدل in this meaning, it means that a person that you could trust. All the Sahaba for us are udul, meaning whatever they did or they said, we trust them. We will never lie on behalf of the Prophet ﷺ. We're not saying that the Sahaba are gods, and we're not saying the Sahaba are prophet and messengers. No, they may make mistakes also, right? But when it comes to anything from the Prophet, they will not lie. They will not tell you the Prophet did that and he did not do it. Or they will not say, I saw the Prophet did that and they did not see it. No way. So for us, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, right? We believe that the Sahaba, all of them, never lied when it comes to a matter about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anyway, so they recorded everything for us. But sometimes we might find the Sahabi saying something different than the other one. What does it mean? It means that one of them is lying? No. Both of them are right? Yes. And why? Well, how is that you're going to say? Because that person saw Rasulullah in a specific time, in a specific place doing such thing. And the other one saw Rasulullah in a specific time, in a specific place doing such thing. So they just told us exactly what they saw or what they heard. And that is the honesty of the Sahaba. And that's actually what tells you the Sahaba, they are this golden generation that they transmitted everything to us. Look, there is no human being on earth that his companions, they wrote and they transmitted every little thing about him, but only Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You could take this challenge. Take for example Prophet Adam or Ibrahim or Musa or Isa alayhim salatu wassalam ajma'in. There is no one among them that his companions, they wrote every little small details about him, that even the way he used to walk, the way he used to talk, and even he taught them how to clean themselves, in the bathroom. So Allah taught us how to clean yourself, and how many times, and what to use, and which hand, and what to say. If you finish after that, if you enter the bathroom, if you're coming out from the bathroom, all that. There is no generation in the world, in the human history, that they love their prophets, and they follow him, and they record every little details about it, but only the Sahaba of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's it. No one else. Now those Sahaba, they are the one who brought this deed to us. And that's why the scholars and the ulama always used to say, if you see a person talking bad about the Sahaba, you have to accuse him in his faith. Do you know why? A very simple but a very interesting and very important point. If we accuse the Sahaba, or if the shaitan plays in your mind and you accuse the Sahabi, the whole deen will collapse. Because you're going to tell me, okay, you told me how to pray. Who told you that? It was transmitted or it was narrated from a Sahabi. I don't believe that Sahabi. Meaning that whole ibadah is gone. So the people, according again to the scholars, when they were not able to accuse the Prophet ﷺ, what they did, they moved to another step. Let's accuse his companions. And we're going to, we believe the Prophet, but we don't believe his companions because they are human beings like us. So, meaning whatever they told us about him, we're going to put a question mark. Now the whole deal will be question marks. You see this? It's very important. Very important for us to understand. Now, those Sahaba, a lot of them were ulama, scholars. They understood the deen, definitely. Then the generation that came after them, called a tabi'in. A tabi'i is a person that saw a Sahabi. A Sahabi is a person who saw the Prophet ﷺ. So if you see the Prophet, you call it Sahabi. If you see the Sahabi, you call it tabi'i. If you see a tabi'i, you call tabi'i a tabi'i. So these are the generation. That's how the way it is. Now those tabi'i that came after, there was a huge big number. You cannot imagine. And there was a lot of scholars among them, especially the children of Sahaba. Because who's going to saw the Sahaba really, right? It's their children. And we have, for example, Abdullah ibn Umar, but Abdullah ibn Umar is a Sahabi. Right? We have a lot of the children of the Sahaba that they heard from their fathers. and from their mothers also. And these are the ones that came, and among them there's something called al-fuqaha al-sab'a, the seven fuqaha, and they used to live in Medina. They used to live in Medina, subhanAllah. Now, there was a huge big number of those which is called the tabi'in, and then came after that tabi'in. You may say, brother, why are you telling us all this stuff? I'm telling you all this story because we're going to come to a point to study one of the books. And from that book, we're going to start understanding the ibadat. We're going to start understanding the ibadah, every single ibadah. So what book you're going to choose? And again, whenever you want to choose a book, it's going to go to one of the madahib, right? A Maliki, a Hanafi, a Shafi'i, or a Hanbali. And we're going to fall in the same. No, not going to fall in the same again. Something very important to understand over here. There are certain people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave them qubul. They are being accepted by everyone. And nobody ever in the history criticized some of them. SubhanAllah. Just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them those things. In the same time, who are the fuqaha who left a book among them? So let's name the four fuqaha. Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. Malik, rahimahullah. Shafi'i, rahimahullah. And Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Shafi'i's name is Muhammad ibn Idris. Shafi'i and then Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And each one of them lived in different times. Now, the first two, Malik and Ahmad, they lived at the same time. Abu Hanifa was a little bit older, but they lived in different places. Malik lived in Medina all his life, until he died. And Ahmad, subhanAllah, Abu Hanifa, he lived in Kufa until he died. Subhanallah, in Iraq. Now, what's the difference between these two? By the way, the difference is these two people, they are the teachers of anyone who comes after. Let's take the three, put Abu Hanifa on the side. Malik is the teacher of Shafi'i, and Shafi'i is the teacher of Ahmad. So you see now, in this side, Malik is the teacher of Shafi'i, and Shafi'i is the teacher of Ahmad. And Shafi'i lived, subhanAllah, Abu Hanifa lived in the same time with Imam Malik, rahimahullah. And they used to sit and talk, always in Hajj. When they used to meet in Hajj, they used to sit and talk, and they used to respect each other. According to the scholars, the two major madahib that was always there is the Hanafi madhab and the Shafi'i and the Maliki madhab. And the other madahib are like the children of those madahib, subhanAllah. And actually even the Hanbali madhab was not a famous madhab until actually the 20th century, subhanAllah. So it was not that much. But the three majors, now again we see reducing the three majors. Madhab is madhab of Abu Hanifa, madhab of Malik, madhab of Shafi'i. Now another question, why madhab? And a lot of people say madhab, what do you mean by madhab? Listen, when I say madhab of Malik or Ahmad, Shafi'i or Ahmad or Abu Hanifa, it does not mean that one of them he makes something halal and the other one he makes something haram. No. The madhab is only in ijtihadat, in human effort. When there is something that it may have two understanding and you try your best to come up with your own opinion. None of them says the salat is not a fard. Can you find that one of the madhab says salat is not a fard? Or you say salat is only a sunnah? It's the same. Malik, Abu Hanifa, Shafi'i and Ahmad are saying the same thing. Salat is a fard. Zakat is a fard. Sawm is a fard. Hajj is a fard. Shahadah. All of them are saying the same. Yes, all of them saying the same. So whenever there is something major, all of them they agree with it. So the difference is in madhab in what? In what? In only in umur, in issues that there is a room for ijtihad, there is a room for interpretation. Otherwise, none of them could interpret or go beyond the saying of the Prophet ﷺ. If one of them, if we're going to find one of them and you cannot find that one of them say, the Prophet said this but I say something else. Is that possible? It's impossible. If anyone says that, that person cannot be accepted as a faqih or as a alim or probably as even a Muslim. So this again, a fitna that a lot of people wants to create among the madahib, it does not even exist. It has no concept. Abu Hanifa or Malik or Ahmad or all of them, they used to repeat the same thing and they used to say, the Quran is number one and the Amal of Rasulullah is number two. All of them used to say the same thing. Okay, so what book are we going to use? So inshallah, just another 10-15 minutes. I know last time we took too long. The book that we're going to use the book of Al-Muwatta. And there is a reason why we're going to use this specific book. The book of the Muwatta, it was the very first book written by a alim, by a scholar, by a faqih. That's number one, which is Imam Malik rahimahullah. What else also? Do you know that almost the entire book of the Muwatta, almost the entire book of the Muwatta, it is in the Sahihain, in Bukhari and Muslim. Bukhari, rahimahullah, Imam Bukhari, Muhammad ibn Ismail, and Imam Muslim, in their Sahih's book, the book of the Muwatta is there also. Now, what else? The book of the Muwatta is being studied by all the madahib. For example, in the madhab al-Maliki, they study the Muwatta with a version from Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, which is given in Andalus. And the Ahnaf also, they study the book of the Muwatta with another narration. Which narration? Narration of, subhanallah, Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani. We know that Muhammad ibn al-Hasan was one of the students of Imam Abu Hanifa. Muhammad ibn al-Hasan and Imam Shafi'i, both of them, they were the same age. Somehow, they were friends. And he also narrated the Muwatta from the source from Imam Malik rahimahullah. And now when you study the Hanafi fiqh, you study that book too, also of Imam Malik, with the narration of Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani. Why again this book? Again, as I mentioned, Imam Malik is the Imam that has two things which is very important. He was a faqih and he was a rawi, meaning he narrated the hadith. Okay. What else special about Imam Malik? He lived all his life in Medina until he died. What else about that? He was selected by the scholars of Medina, 70 scholars, that they give him the permission to start giving fatwa. Where? In the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, on the manbar of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Imam Malik rahimahullah was the person who gives fatwa, and no one has the right to give fatwa but only Malik for more than 60 years, 60 years. Where? In the Haram al-Nabawi, on the manbar of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and everybody was accepting that. That even the people, they narrate a hadith, and they said the only person that fits with this hadith is Malik. When Rasulullah said, Yakadu, subhanallah, there will be a time that it will be أن الناس لا يجدون أعلم من عالم المدينة. They will not find someone who is more knowledgeable than the alim of Medina. تضرب إليه أكباد الإبل, meaning people, they would travel to him from different places of the world. From Spain, they used to travel to Imam Malik. Can you imagine that? That's all. No, that's not all. Imam Malik has something which is very interesting. He said his shuyukh that he studied from, 900 shaykh. 900 shaykh. 300 of them are from the tabi'in, and 600 from the others. What else, subhanAllah? Do you know that Imam Malik said, most of my shuyukh, his shuyukh, he said, most of them, they became my students after that. They used to come to me for fatwa. So you understand that too. What else? The other part which I will close with it is something very emotional about Malik, and his respect to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm not saying that the other scholars are not, but this is really something which is recorded in the book. Malik would not give a fatwa, would not talk about hadith if he is walking, or if he's in the street. You say, the maqam of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would not give me that. And Malik, who used to sit home, for example, and the people will come to him to ask him questions, and he will ask them, are you coming for fiqh or are you coming for hadith? If you come in for fiqh, you could sit and we could talk. But if you come in for the hadith of Rasulullah, wait, he will go, he will make wudu, he will put the best of his clothes, and he will put perfume, then he will come out. Reason? Out of respect for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. More than that, the most important and emotional thing about him, In his time, some people were against him for whatever political reasons. And for that reason, subhanAllah, they put him in jail and they beat him up until one of his shoulders, he couldn't move it anymore. When the Khalifa knew about it, he came and he met him and he said, I swear that it was not with my knowledge and I didn't do that. He said, oh Khalifa, I already forgave that person and I have nothing against him. And he said to him, why? He said, look at this one. He said, because that person who did that, it was from the progeny of the Prophet ﷺ. And he said, I would not be comfortable to enter Jannah and I would have something against someone from the progeny of the Prophet ﷺ. And he said to him, I swear by Allah, in every time that person was raising his hand to hit me, I would say, oh Allah, forgive him. Oh Allah, forgive him for what? For the sake of the love of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. That will tell you who is Malik, and that's why he was given this much. Malik would not ride a camel or a horse or in Medina. Why? Because out of respect, he said, the place where the body of Rasulullah is buried, I would not be comfortable to ride an animal in that area, subhanAllah. This is Malik. This is Malik that, subhanAllah, he lived and died in that way. And as I mentioned, a person who was the Imam and the Mufti in the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam for more than 60 years, subhanAllah. Malik has a lot of books, but we're going to study the book of the Muwatta, inshallah. So today, it was just a small introduction to understand what we're going to study, how we're going to study, and why we're going to study this. And it was an answer, just a light answer to the question of Sunni and whatever is that. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me and forgive all of us. Astaghfirullah wa jami'al mu'mineen. If you have any questions, I would be very happy. We're good? Okay, yes. Okay, we're going to cover that soon, but let's put it in this way. If you read in the book of Muwatta, there is the hadith of Malik that says that Rasulullah used to offer his prayer with qabd. So Malik, he mentioned the hadith of Rasulullah in the book of the Muwatta. You may say, but how come the Maliki and they don't do that? It is very similar. Not all the Maliki and they don't do that. That's not the one. And they have interpretation with that. Some of them, they said, Malik saw a lot of tabi'een, when they offered the prayer, they did not do the qabd. So he was following whatever he saw, the scholars in Medina before him, which is tabi'een or tabi'i at-tabi'een. That's one of them. Number two, they say, no, Malik probably used to do the qabd, but his students are the one who did that. Some, they said, in the end of his life, once I mentioned he was beaten up badly, so he couldn't move his hand anymore. So when he used to stand and pray, he could not raise his hand. So he used to pray with what we call sadi in Arabic language. So a lot of people who saw him did not question him, but they say, we saw Malik doing that, and we did that. So now, good that you brought this question. Doing the qabd in the salat, is it a fard? Is it a wajib? Is it sunnah? Is it this? And all those. And a lot of times we fight for things like this. Although we know your salat is valid. Your salat is valid as long as you follow one of those imams. Those imams, none of them broke things from his mind, but actually from the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By the way, to let you know, you may say, how come the Hanafi madhab is more spread than the Maliki madhab or Shafi'i madhab or the Hanbali madhab? And that has to do only with politics again. Number one, in the time of Abu Hanifa, and after he passed away, he refused to be the Qadi al-Qudat, the judge, the Supreme Court. And once you take that job, and his students took it, subhanAllah, Abu Yusuf, Al-Qadi, Abu Yusuf, his name. So when you take that job, you appointing always the other Qudat and other people. Qadim is the one who can, from your own madhab. And that's why it spreads more. That's number one. Number two, this madhab will spread even more in the time when the Turkish, they ruled the Muslims world. And the Ottomanians, they ruled the Muslims world for 800 years, almost everywhere, except certain areas, very like Morocco was not ruled by the Ottomanians, and that was like an exception. And subhanAllah. Now, you're gonna realize that only the north of Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Mauritania, Senegal, Chad, Mali, and some areas, probably I'm not sure about Indonesia and Malaysia, and some places in Saudi Arabia. And these were the Maliki madhab was flourishing. And Andalus, Spain, for all the time that it was always a Maliki madhab, except sometimes it was in Zahiri madhab, and that's a different madhab. Beside that, the Hanafi madhab was spread in almost all the Muslims' world, subhanAllah. Sorry, I'm going to take another 2 minutes about the Hanafi madhab, and it's a very important point. You know, for us in America, and all the people who lives in Europe, not living in Muslims' country, the Hanafi madhab is the same circumstances that Abu Hanifa had at that time. Malik lived in Medina, and in Medina there were only Muslims. There were only the children of Sahaba, the grandchildren of Sahaba, and Mecca and the whole area of Hijaz. Now he lived in Iraq. He used to live in Iraq, by the way. Abu Hanifa lived in Iraq. Who lived in Iraq? A lot of Persians that were not Muslims. A lot of Romans that were not Muslims. A lot of other people. Now, the question that was asked at the time of Abu Hanifa, in the place of Abu Hanifa, was different than the question was asked in Malik. And you're going to see that we here in America, the question that we have, it's a completely different question that we had back home. It's a different question about business, about buying, about selling, about marrying, about a lot of things. So the Hanafi madhab has a lot of answers to many of the circumstances that Malik didn't face. And he didn't have the chance to face because he lived in a different area. And that's why, again, Malik, when you study his fiqh, you're going to find that he would not answer. He would not answer to a lot of questions. And he would say, if I have an athar, meaning if I have something from the Prophet saying, or the Sahaba, or the scholars, I will answer. But if I don't have no answer. Again, the questions were different, subhanAllah. Abu Hanifa faced a different circumstances, a different scenario. There were people, for example, just like I promise this will be the last one. Marriage. Marriage, there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ saying, "La tunkah al-maratu illa bi wali." Hadith is clear and it's sahih. A woman does not have the right to get married, but only with wali. It's supposed to be a father, a brother, a son, which is an adult, or someone. You're going to find in the Hanafi madhab that a woman may get married without a wali. But the hadith says so. Said you cannot. Because the circumstances in Iraq was different. There were a lot of ladies there that their fathers passed away or died, or you know what, their fathers were not even a Muslim. And she converted to Islam. Now she wants to get married. What are we going to do? You don't have your wali. Your father is not a Muslim, he's not acceptable. Your brother, so she's the only, so what are we going to do? Tell that woman don't get married. Stay like that. So it's a no question, a no scenario, and no circumstances which you need what? Ijtihad, a human effort. Although the hadith is there, it tells you clearly you cannot do that. But now I have different circumstances, and I have to apply a new ruling for that. And that's where the ijtihadat of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. So we'll close here inshallah, and we'll see you more the other week. Next week we will continue the Islamic history inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan again. Sure. Yes. So there is again a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Whoever had the intention to sacrifice the animal, he should avoid to cut from his nails and from his hair, and until the 10th of Muharram, until you sacrifice the animal from the first day of the Hijjah." Until the 10th of the Hijjah. And who is that? It's not the whole family, not your children, not your wife, the person who is usually in charge, right? Let's say the male usually in the house is the one in charge, is the one that he's supposed to avoid that. It is a must on you? No, it's not. It's a sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. And I don't like to use the word it's a sunnah, but it's not in the sense of a must. And we're going to understand that when the Prophet said something, is it a mustahab, is it preferable, is it a mandub, it is a must, is it a wajib, is it a fard, and we're going to see all that inshallah. So yes, and you may not find this, for example, in some of the madahib. You say, how come that madhab? You know what, sometimes, we're coming now in the 21st century, that after 1500 years of work of the ulama, that they were able to combine the hadith and wrote thousands of books. So don't forget that a lot of scholars in a certain time did not know about some of the hadith. Did not know about the hadith? Yeah, some of them did not know about the hadith. Don't be even surprised that sometimes even Umar radiallahu anhu arda, somebody will come to him and he will tell him and say, Umar didn't know that hadith. Do you think that the Sahaba, when they used to be with the Prophet, they were to stay with him 24/7? They had business, they had to go to work, right? They travel. So often they may be missing. Sometimes they hear it, sometimes they don't hear it. But we were fortunate now again that the scholars, they spend all their life collecting those ahadith, improving those ahadith, doing the intensity of those ahadith, of the rijal of the ahadith. So yes, inshallah. Again, jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.